We're continuing to get to know this new class of elected officials in the House of Representatives, which includes some really, really unqualified people. We've spoken before about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who drafted articles of impeachment against Joe Biden on January 21st last week. Yes, she did. We talked earlier today about Lauren Boebert. We spoke earlier today about Madison Cawthorn's disastrous interview on CNN. You know, to give you a sense of the sort of folks that we're dealing with here, there is pretty widespread reporting about Madison Cawthorn visiting Hitler's house because it was a bucket list item for him. And everything about, I mean, down to the detail, this is indistinguishable from satire with some of these guys. The Jewish mayor of Asheville, North Carolina, remember that Madison Cawthorn is a representative now in North Carolina, back in August said it's very concerning that the Republican then candidate, now member of Congress, visited Adolf Hitler's vacation home and referred to him as the Führer on social media. And back in 2017, Cawthorn posted from the so-called Eagle's Nest, Hitler's vacation home. It was one of the last battlegrounds of World War II, referred to Hitler as the Führer, said that going there was on his bucket list, and did call Hitler a supreme evil, right? I'm not looking to hide that from you. The Mayor Mannheimer said it's very concerning. Throughout the last several years since Trump has been elected president, I think all of us have seen that white supremacists are emboldened and are publicly making their positions known. And to elect someone who openly throws out dog whistles like this, it just makes me really sad, actually, first and foremost. It makes me sad, disappointed, worried. Now, when this was written about, Cawthorn briefly took down the pictures because a lot of attention was called to them. Then they were publicly visible again, Cawthorn deciding to double down and to say that it's a fake news controversy, that he wasn't there to celebrate. He was celebrating a victory over evil. So I have a few different thoughts about this. First of all, as someone who is disabled, Madison Cawthorn would have been one of the first killed by the Nazis right after Jews. So that the irony of that is certainly not lost on me. You'll very often hear defenses from these folks like, no, I was interested in seeing how such evil was defeated. Or sometimes you'll hear a little more about, it was interesting for historical reasons. Visiting Hitler's vacation home, I'm an historian, and it was interesting for that. Or reading Mein Kampf is interesting for historical reasons. I enjoy history as well. But when you see people flocking to the Hitler stuff for history's sake, but they're not interested in any other areas of history, it is a little weird, right? Like if Mein Kampf is the only history book you read, you might not be that interested in history. And Mein Kampf isn't even really a history book. It's a historical book for sure, but it's not a book about history. I'm no expert, but very often when people gravitate to Hitler's vacation home or reading Mein Kampf, and like that's the only curiosity they have, it's not really about history. It's that they find the legacy of power and violence and ruthlessness exciting or interesting. And I'm not denying that Madison Cawthorn thinks Hitler was evil in some kind of nominal way. What I am sure of is that Cawthorn is a reactionary and a liar, and we should be very careful about believing anything he says. And I don't know how many of you are aware of the history of lying. Madison Cawthorn misled the public about claiming he was training for the Paralympics. He misrepresented his educational history. He misrepresented his business history. This seems like just a liar, which reminds me of someone, by the way. Multiple outlets have reported that before running for office, Cawthorn said he was training for the 2020 Paralympic Games. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. Cawthorn wasn't on any team or club. He didn't run any races. It'd sort of be like if I said, I'm training for Olympic ski jumping. But have you done any skiing to prepare? No. Do you have a coach? No. Are you on any team? No. Do you have a lift ticket anywhere? No, but I'm training. Like that's the degree to which it seems that he was training. Cawthorn claims to have been a successful business owner and heading to the Naval Academy when his tragic car accident left him paralyzed. But the truth is he had already been rejected from the Naval Academy, so it wasn't true he was heading there. His only business that anyone was able to find was a real estate investment company that had zero income and no employees in 2019. So this seems like a liar. And when you talk about someone that gets elected merely riding the wings or standing on the coattails of Donald Trump and the Trump cult, this is exactly who you would imagine gets elected. And we'll be doing deep dives into Lauren Boebert. We'll be doing deep dives into Marjorie Taylor Greene. These are folks who know nothing about policy or governance. They are the epitome of cultish role players. And we saw that in Madison Cawthorn's Pamela Brown interview earlier on in the show. And so these folks really have to be defeated in 2022. If Republicans learned anything from the Trumpian fiasco, and I don't know that they have, but as I said earlier, if they learned anything from the Trumpian fiasco, they would make sure to run credible primaries against these folks or to convince them to retire and that they can't win. I don't know that that's actually going to happen, but these folks, if they get reelected, would cement this Trumpian cult in the House of Representatives for multiple terms. And that would be really, really scary and an absolutely horrible thing.